This program on investing under regulation crowdfunding is not investment advice.
Rising with the crowd, power unbound, change makers lead where hope is found. Superpowers for good, shaping the fate. Investors and dreamers open the gate. Super Crow stands loud, proud and true, building tomorrow for me and you.
Welcome, everyone, to the Superpowers for Good show. I'm your host, Devin Thorpe, and today I'm with Ana Aguilar. She is the CEO and founder of Tantisimo. She recently completed a successful crowdfunding campaign on Honeycomb Credit, raising $84,000. Ana, congratulations and welcome.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I'm thrilled to see your success, and I want to jump in here. We're going to hop around, and I hope you'll forgive me. But let's start by just getting an overview of your crowdfunding success with Honeycomb. How did that go? How did you do it?
It started, there's a good bit of prep work before you even go live. So we had a list of people that we had in our minds that we thought would be good for investment, people who've expressed interest in the past, and then we kind of just started there. But I am also a part of a networking group, so I did a lot of work weekly speaking to that group about the opportunity in case they were able to help find other investors. And I got some investments from my business network there, and then one of my business partners, Josh Cook, his family stepped in and gave us some nice boosts along the way, and then some of our customers, and then some people we don't know as well. So it was definitely like a compilation of people.
Yeah, it's fascinating how this can come together. But, you know, the reality is a lot of people try to raise capital, investment capital from the crowd and don't succeed. And you did. It was a lot of work. Is it fair to say it's a lot of work?
Definitely a lot of time. I would say just like tracking people down that believe in your business and want to invest. But there's always going to be like a small element of being a little bit shy about it. So you're like, I'll call them tomorrow, and maybe they'll, reach out to me before then and I won't have to. But then 2-3 days pass and you're like, okay, I really got to call them now. And then when you call them, they're like, oh yes, like email me this or that. And so then I would kind of have to follow up with people a lot. It was really fulfilling having those conversations and kind of like proving ourselves to all and family members. And it just kind of reinforces what you're about, even to you. So it was a little bit things that ultimately like is a positive thing.
Now, let's take a minute, this crowdfunding conversation in the context of your business, right? So you created Tantisimo. It's going to be a proper restaurant,
Mm-hmm.
but today it's been operating as a pop-up. Tell us about Tantisimo.
Yes, we started as just pastries, doing Latin American farm-to-table pastries, primarily Mexican because my family's from Mexico, and the town that I'm from is Santa Maria, California, which is predominantly, the Hispanic population there is predominantly Mexican. And then over the years, we've been operating for 4 years now. We've expanded into savory food. It started as just like snacks and kind of bites that you could pick up at the farmer's market. And then eventually we did full proper dishes as we picked up pop-ups and were able to do events at other locations with bigger and better kitchens. And then my partner Josh Cook joined the company, and he brought in even more culinary expertise. I kind of founded with pastries and family recipes and what I learned from the chefs around me, and then when he came in, it was like the missing piece, so we could do finer things and small plates. And at that time, we had a permanent residency in a small kitchen, so we got to kind of test out our restaurant concept. and then finally found a place of our own that we're getting ready to build out here.
You generated on the order of $200,000 a year in revenue in the past, right?
Mm-hmm.
And which is kudos. I mean, it's tough to make a business that generates that kind of revenue. That kudos. I mean, that's a big deal. But you're projecting about 10 times that much revenue in the brick and mortar restaurant you've found, where you're going to build out the facilities. Tell us about the restaurant expansion plan. This is really exciting stuff.
Yeah, the restaurant will have just a lot more capacity. What we've been able to do so far is mostly out of a 10 by 10 tent. So, we could have really good days and really bad days and everything in between, but usually it's still only going to be once or twice a week, and does not include liquor sales. So very limited on what our sales cap is. We did open a sister concept under the same LLC, and that the most we operated with that was, I believe, 5 days a week. We eventually had to scale back down because it was tough to staff a very late night service. But we've had kind of a lot of different versions of our business over the years. And then when we did do that long-term residency is when we were able to flesh out what we actually want the restaurant to be like. And yeah, the revenue we expect to be quite different because we'll have a AM and a PM service, and it'll be 6 days a week, and it'll also have a liquor license. So very different playing field. It'll be fun.
Now, where's the restaurant going to be?
In Nashville, there's a neighborhood called Sylvan Park. It's a historic building. It used to be a general store. Then it was a bakery, and it's been a auto shop. It's been all sorts of things. So it's really cool to be in. I'm not a huge fan of all the new construction. It's nice to be somewhere that's like a part of the neighborhood, so we can serve the neighborhood that we've built our clientele in, because the farmers market is actually just 2 blocks away.
Oh, but that's excellent. That's excellent. Now I want to come back to the crowdfunding, because again, I want to emphasize you were successful, and there are a lot of people out there for whom raising $30,000, $50,000, $100,000 is a lot of money, and can be the key difference between success and failure. So let's talk a little bit more about how you did this. Did you have a good experience with Honeycomb Credit? You raised there.
I did. Yeah, they were really good about helping to explain the process. And during the initial raise, which was 30 days, we had like weekly check-ins and, targets we were supposed to hit, and lists and things that I was supposed to post, and stories I was supposed to post, and content I was supposed to release. And that accountability is really helpful. We did extend the raise by 30 days. I think with the first 30 days, we were at something like 50,000, but our goal was 124. So we had like a long way to go. And some of the people we had been talking to just needed more time. So we extended by another 30 days. And when we did that, we were able to raise the additional 30 or so thousand. But after that, I had a little bit less accountability, because I think I wasn't like in their original scheduled programming anymore. But I kind of also knew the name of the game at that point. So it would have been nice, I guess, to go into it with a longer time frame to work up a plan. And if we'd had even more time, I would suggest that. There are some platforms that give you more time. I think there's like probably a sweet spot. If you go too long, maybe you lose your momentum, or people start to think you're not serious or something like that. But 30 days I felt that pressure for sure. And I think maybe something like we ended up with 60 days, that was pretty good, but maybe 90 would have been even better.
Yeah. It's great to see you succeed. I think the Honeycomb folks may have given you some coaching help on the video. You had a great video for your campaign. Tell us a little bit about how that came together.
Yeah, they sent a videographer to us, and I think we had a list of questions to help us prepare for that. Um, the restaurant space is an empty shell, and we shot it in peak summer. There's no AC in there, so it was tough to stay focused as we're like just it was so hot, so hot in that room. But yeah, we had a good videographer kind of helping us stay on track, so that was good.
I want to put your crowdfunding offering into a little bit of context. And I apologize for prying. You tell me how much of this you want to share, but $84,000 isn't enough to build out the whole restaurant. You were using the
Right.
crowdfunding campaign for the equipment
Hmm.
financing primarily, I think. How did the crowdfunding fit into the larger picture? You obviously have to have some deposits for the lease and all of that stuff. You had to have you're going to build out furniture, and you've got to if there's no AC, you get an AC system in there. How does all of that come about? What other financing did you use to make the whole thing work?
Right. We started with it's called Pathway Lending. They're a community development fund, and they specialize with helping restaurants and small businesses that are minority owned. So they are the reason we were like able to sign the lease, knowing that we'd have some funds to build with. Very quickly, we were able to see that we were going to need to supplement that. And what we did with Pathway was a huge help. I It has been really a fascinating process building out a restaurant. We're not even building it from scratch, and I'm able to see how people are always over budget and over the timeline. Um, but one thing that's been cool is as we've gone back to Pathway to kind of give them the updates and say like, hey, this is how much it's going to cost to get the doors open. It has helped to show them our raise with Honeycomb because it shows that our community has faith in us because we have 58 investors ranging from $100 to I think 10,000 was the largest investment. So that just kind of makes it real for everybody and helps the process along of getting other funding.
Yeah, and for your offering, you had a 12% interest rate,
Hmm.
and you had a 5-year term. So you have 60 months to pay it back. Was any portion of that interest only, or is it straight
Yeah.
amortization starting from the beginning?
There are 6 months that are interest only. I did have to negotiate for that. WeFunder actually approached me early in the process to try to get me to switch. We did stay with
Yeah.
Honeycomb, but I was able to see that it's like a whole industry and everybody offers different terms and different levels of flexibility. Um, so
Yeah.
that was a very interesting learning experience.
Are you happy? Do you feel like the terms were the right terms to maximize the raise in your circumstance?
In my circumstance, I probably could have gone without the personal guarantee because we did go through so many people who know us really well and would have invested either way. And it would be nice to not have that. But generally, yeah, I feel good about it. I wanted
Yeah.
everybody to have a good return and not feel like they were, you know, I guess giving to us if there was another opportunity that was better for them. I didn't want them to feel like they were
Yeah.
missing out by giving us funds. So I
Sure.
felt like 12% was
And
like something I could confidently say was like a good ROI.
did you, and I think that's exactly the right approach, right? The right mindset for your investors. Because if you're not thinking about them,
Yeah,
you may not be able to get them, happy in the end, and that's going to be a
right.
problem down the road, right? Now, did Honeycomb give you the option to not personally guarantee, or would you have had to negotiate that? And you don't know, or
I'm trying to remember that all was kind of like a long time ago and was a blur, but I think that they ended up we did renegotiate a few things after the WeFunder situation, but the personal guarantee stuck, and I think they were, they were saying that it was just more likely to attract investors to have that, so we just went with it.
Yeah, yeah. I've noticed that on SMBX, a competing website, that they often don't require the personal guarantee, and their interest rates are a little lower. But I think they may also underwrite with more scrutiny. Did you happen to talk to SMBX before you did the offering?
I didn't. It all got to be like, especially combined with working on drawings and all the other things that were going into the build out, it got to be pretty draining. So it was kind of like, okay, I've learned enough at this point to move forward with Honeycomb. But yeah, I'm sure I could have kept weighing my options for another month, but I didn't want to do that. So
yeah. Well, listen, everybody, Anna, thank you so much. This is going to be, we're not done yet. Stick around. But listen, we're going to take a quick break. I'm here with Ana Aguilar. She's the CEO and founder of Tantisimo, a Mexican restaurant, or Latino restaurant. This is going to be a great conversation. We're going to shift gears a little bit when we come back and talk to her about her superpower. So stick around.
You can get in on the ground floor to help fix the climate crisis for as little as $100. Pause now to scan the QR code to get started, or visit s4g.biz/raisegreen. You can beat a green at Raise Green.
Want to learn from the world's great changemakers? Find your superpower. Subscribe to the Superpowers for Good newsletter at superpowersforgood.com. Make your strengths into superpowers that will change the world. Join the super crowd today. Superpowers4good.com.
Hope to raise money from the impact crowd. Good investors are as interested in community, social or environmental impact as you. Connect with Funding Hope, an SEC-registered FINRA member crowdfunding portal, to learn how to raise capital from the impact crowd. Scan the QR code now.
Welcome back, everyone. We're here today with Ana Aguilar. She's the CEO and founder of Tantisimo, and we've had just a great conversation with her about her crowdfunding campaign and her success. But we're going to shift gears now to talk to her about her superpower. So stick around. Ana, thank you so much for being with us today. Tell us, if you would, you've been so successful with the crowdfunding. You've been so successful with launching your restaurant. What is your superpower?
I would say just, there's so many different ways of phrasing this now in the business community, but the idea is just knowing that you're going to be able to figure out the obstacle at some point if your vision is strong enough. So I'm really good at, I guess you could say, just being optimistic, but I feel like that word doesn't encompass it enough. And just going for it, I guess I would say. Resiliency and just pushing and really like having a strong vision that I'm pushing for and waking up every day and working towards it.
That ability to be optimistic and resilient is amazing and important. And so I congratulate you. I wonder if you can think of a particular moment, particular challenge that you have faced along the way where you said, oh, wow, this is daunting. And then you worked through it. Can you give us one example?
There have been a few. I mean, there were certainly like 2 or 3 times during the raise where that part felt daunting, and it was just, keep plucking away at the plan. But outside of that, related to the build specifically, we did run into a big surprise with the HVAC. I've never built a commercial space before, and neither had my landlord and neither had my architect, and our GC is like newer to commercial. So even though everybody is definitely a professional and very thorough, like it just was one thing that we just didn't know enough about, and it was the HVAC in the space. It was leased to us as a ready shell for a restaurant, and the electrical was upgraded and the grease trap was updated, and the HVAC was, or so we thought, but it was only 6 tons worth of air. Turns out we needed more like 19. Turns out that bill went from like 8,500 to like 120 or more, still kind of being worked out. So that was kind of like a big, oh, okay, so this is like a major setback. Here are all the different ways I could approach this, and ended up being a thing where the landlord is going to bring the building up to restaurant ready, like it was supposed to be, but it was definitely like a scary number to look at. Yeah, many things like that happen as an entrepreneur. I would say like once a month there's something that I could not have prepared for. And the more I talk to people, the more that it seems like you just can't prepare for it. You just get better at, trusting yourself to just treat it like another day and find a solution.
Yeah. All successful entrepreneurs, whether they think of this as their superpower or not, I think all successful entrepreneurs are optimistic and resilient. I wonder if you could share some tips with our audience on being more optimistic and resilient, because I think it's so incredibly essential. And
It is.
but it's hard, right? Unsuccessful entrepreneurs are neither, or at least they lack one or the other. How do we be more like Anna?
I do think this has been my superpower in life in general. And even as somebody who's naturally this way, this process of taking the business from a small pop-up that I can grasp to a full-scale restaurant that I have only a baseline understanding of. I mean, I've worked in restaurants. I'm well prepared for what I'm doing, but it's still new and big. Even for me, there have been many moments along the way where the hardest part of my job every single day is just like protecting that ability to be in a good mental place. And so I guess one tip is, if there's voices around you that are interfering with that, set really good boundaries. Sometimes it has even been like my closest friends, partners, just it's a common thing for entrepreneurs. Nobody else necessarily is going to get it. And when it's like, for example, my mom, if this is all like over her head and she has fears she'll express, sometimes I have to be like, hey, just trust me. Not so much like that you don't want to let people talk, but it's like, okay, if this is going to now feed into my thought patterns every day, I don't actually want to be hearing this. I need to be hearing and spending this time having conversations with people who could help open my mind to how to solve the problems, rather than like, I know what the fears and doubts are. Everybody has them, but I don't need to, like, we don't need to spend time on that because it's not useful. But then have like just a little bit, I guess, give it like, find your perfect ratio where I might spend like 10% of my time listening to that so that I'm not completely ignorant. But no more than that. If it's any more than 10%, I can feel the shift where I'm like, okay, I'm starting to get nervous. And if I get nervous, if I was a nervous person, we wouldn't be here. So I like can't allow that.
Yeah, I hear you. Wow. Great advice. Great advice. Listen, as we wrap up now, I wonder if you would take a minute and tell people how they can learn more, how they can connect with you, how they can find the restaurant, how they can, whatever. I know that you've got a following, and people are going to want to join the following. So make sure people know how to, follow. Okay.
Yeah. Well, Tantisimo is TANTISIMO.com. That's our website. I will, it's updated. The most up-to-date place is always Instagram. That's the easiest place for me to post menus, updates about where you can find us, and definitely updates about the restaurant as we go along. So definitely follow us on Instagram. If you happen to be in Nashville or passing through Nashville, come see us at the Richland Park Farmers Market. That's a great spot to meet not only us, but other people that we work with as vendors. It's really, we love supporting local and supporting other small businesses.
Excellent. Well, Anna, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us. We wish you every success in building out your restaurant and launching successfully.
Thank you.
All righty. Now, let's do some good.